Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today we're in what I think is one of the smartest classic buys of the decade. It's not the flashiest, it's not the loudest, it's certainly not the quickest, but I think this is much more clever. This is the Mercedes SL350, specifically the R230 generation from 2002 onwards. The model I'm talking about today is the pre-facelift SL350 with the 3.7 litre V6. If you know your Mercedes engines, you'll be thinking, ah yes, you've got a point there, Matt, because the later V6s suffered with catastrophic balance shaft issues. If you don't know anything about the balance shaft issues on the later V6s, then we will get to it, I promise, so stay tuned. So today I thought we'd talk about why the SL350 in this configuration is the perfect buy and hold modern classic. I'm calling it now, mark my words, in 10 years time the R230 SL350 will be a £30,000 car. If you think I'm talking nonsense, do you remember a time when R129s cost 5k? Exactly. I guarantee you the same thing will happen with this. That's why I think buying one of these today in 2025 is quite a smart thing to do. Anyway, I should probably tell you a bit about it, shouldn't I? Make yourselves comfortable. When this car came out back in 2002, it looked like something from the future. Mercedes had just come off a run of unbelievably good design work under Bruno Sacco. If you don't know who Bruno Sacco is, he's the man who basically shaped an entire era of Mercedes styling. He somehow managed to make boxy elegant. And this SL, the R230, still wears that DNA. You get a long, elegant bonnet, a short rear deck, and that slightly arrogant stance. It's the kind of posture a car has when its engineering is so good, you just don't need to scream about it. New cars often look like they're trying too hard. Too many vents, too many angles, massive wheels. It just doesn't work. To my eye, they all look like a transformer toy that hasn't finished transforming yet. But this is the opposite. This is effortless, this is subtle, this is confident. This is the automotive equivalent of turning up at a dinner party wearing a handmade wool coat, when the person next to you turns up in some garish fluorescent Balenciaga thing. Every single line on this car serves a purpose. Proportion, balance and grace. I honestly think this thing hasn't aged a day. It could have come out yesterday and nobody would bat an eyelid. And I think ultimately that's the hallmark of a future classic. I think this car has aged like a fine wine. It's still got that jet set appeal to it. Inside, then it's very early 2000s Mercedes. Yes, the technology might be a bit dated, but everything else is a nice timeless design. I love the shape of the dash, how it swoops around to this centre console. I love the shape of these pods around the gauge cluster. It's a very pretty car, this, both inside and out. And also, over 2 decades on, all of the buttons and switches still work. They all have a satisfying feel to them as well. The driving position is perfect. You sit here nice and low and relaxed. The seat hugs you in all the right places. It's perfectly comfortable. The seat base itself is well padded. You could cross continents with the SL, and that really is the whole point. The A-pillars aren't obstructive. There's plenty of room for your elbows and your legs. Obviously with the roof off, there's plenty of room for your head. Even though with the roof up, there's still plenty of headroom, even if you're over 6 foot. It's a good sized car, this. There's also plenty of storage. So you get more storage behind the 2 front seats, you get a decent sized glove compartment, you get more storage under here, and you get some door pockets for good measure. You just get a really wonderful sense of space in this. It feels very liberating. Now a Jaguar XK might be a little bit more elegant than this, but it also feels very fragile. This doesn't. The SL feels like it'd simply shrug off a medium-sized war. This really is a car that you feel important getting into. You simply walk up to it, open the very long door and make yourself comfortable on this big, comfortable seat. Then of course the next step is pop the roof down, put your sunglasses on, put some music on and enjoy the ride. There's a real sense of theatre when that folding metal roof tucks itself away, and an equally satisfying thunk when it returns and seals you back into warm German coziness. As cheap as these cars are now used, it really is a car that says, yeah, I've done well in life. Right, onto engines, and you need to listen up for this one because this is where you could quite easily get caught out. You see, there are 2 main petrol V6s that turn up in the SL350. The early one like this uses a 3.7 litre M112 engine, and it's widely regarded to be completely bulletproof. It's a really strong engine. Mercedes later replaced the 3.7 litre with a 3.5 litre M272 engine, which has, how do I say this politely, a rather expensive personality flaw. The 3.7 litre M112 is one of the most bulletproof engines Mercedes ever made. It's chain-driven, naturally aspirated and smooth as silk, and it'll happily run into 6-figure mileage without throwing a tantrum. This engine's a bit like that dependable relative who turns up with his transit van when he knows you move in house. The later 3.5 M272 engine, well, that's an entirely different story. That engine's like the relative who turns up 3 hours late, stinking of booze, and then hits you up for 20 quid. The M272 balance shaft failure is infamous. and when it goes, you're talking thousands. It is of course an engine out job, and it's dozens of hours labour. So number one rule, if you're looking for an SL350, make sure you buy the M112 3.7. That way you'll save yourself from bankruptcy, and also an existential crisis. And while we're talking about making clever choices, let's talk suspension. You see, the SL350 likely won't have Mercedes ABC suspension, and that's a good thing. ABC suspension is brilliant when it works. You practically glide around corners like you're being chauffeured by physics itself. But when it fails, and it always does, bills are high. If you have an SL without ABC, what you have is simplicity. Normal suspension, just fewer things to go wrong. And for a usable future classic, that is what you want. Simplicity is king. Now let's talk about the actual driving. And this is where the SL350, I think, is massively misunderstood. I think people see the 350 badge, know that that's the entry-level model, and assume it's slow. But that isn't really the case. Okay, sure, it's no snarling SL55, but you don't want it to be either. This car doesn't need to snarl or bark. It isn't about that. Instead, this is just about effortless motoring. Nice, smooth, buttery torque to get you to your destination. This is the sort of car that makes you exhale when you drive. You just sit back, one hand on the wheel, and relax. After a few minutes in it, I guarantee your blood pressure will drop. You don't slide around in this car leaving your tyre marks on the tarmac. Instead, you waft, you glide, you arrive at your destination looking relaxed. Instead, you put the roof down, put your sunglasses on, and just enjoy the drive. It isn't about speed and performance. If you think that, then you're completely missing the point. If that's what you want, you're probably best spending 6 times the amount and buying a 911. The SL is about elegance. This is a very South of France car. It's very jet set. I know I've said that already, but it is. It's timeless, it's elegant, it's classy. You don't need a lap timer on the dash or a dual clutch gearbox. On a nice sunny afternoon like this is one of the best cars to be in. This V6 sounds really good too. It's quick enough as well. You get 250, 260 brake horsepower. It's all you need really in a car like this. Yes, the bigger versions are more exciting, but it's not really necessary. This is plenty. Now, of course, before you rush out to buy one, there are a few things you need to watch out for. Firstly, before you hand over any cash, you need to do a thorough vehicle history check. Now, I always use Convertible. I know I've talked about them before, but I've used them for years and they've never steered me wrong. All you do is go to carvertical.com, type in the reg or the VIN, and then check vehicle. And what this does, it checks databases in 35 different countries. It even works here in Australia. So it'll tell you whether the cars have been stolen, written off, had a mileage rollback, or has outstanding finance on it. In addition to that, it shows you the MOT history, the ownership changes, the reg plate changes, the spec, and a whole lot more. Some of these cars have had a bit of a checkered past, so it's really important that you check the history before you commit to buy. Don't forget to use my promo code HIGHPEAK for 20% off, and you can use that promo code as many times as you like. It isn't just a one-time thing. So to avoid buying an SL that's actually 2 SLs welded together, make sure you do a Convertible check first. We've already discussed engines, so the next thing I need to tell you is the gearbox. Now, the gearbox is a 5-speed auto. They later used a 7-speed auto, but they're really reliable gearboxes. One thing I would do is make sure you service them. I serviced mine at just 20,000 miles, but it was about 20 years old, and fluid and filters just don't last forever. So for the sake of £200 or so, just service the gearbox. That way it'll continue to change gear for you for many years to come. Next thing, try and avoid the ABC, as I've already mentioned. You want to check that the roof goes up and down properly. Make sure it isn't laggy or slow or fouling or anything. If the roof doesn't work, it can be quite a costly fix, so make sure you buy a good one to begin with and make sure everything works properly. Same goes for the central lock-in. Make sure it works from both the button and the key fob. Also check for any dampness in the boot, take out the carpet and have a good look and poke around. These roofs sadly do like to leak. The best thing you can do really is try and keep them under cover. Buy a car cover for it or keep it under a carport, just keep it out of the rain. The other thing you can do is make sure they're polished regularly. That way when it does rain, the water just beads off rather than sitting and then leaking. You don't want water to get into the boot because when it does, it can then rot away the ECUs. And then you'll have a 4-figure bill. So that's something you don't want. But really though, the SL350 genuinely isn't dramatic. It isn't a bad car to own. It's one of those cars that if you look after, it will look after you. It isn't the kind of relationship you'd have with some complicated V12 Italian car anyway. Early SL350s with that 3.7 litre V6 just aren't difficult cars to own. Of course it is a Mercedes and an aging one at that, so certain parts can wear out, naturally. But generally speaking they are quite reliable, and the thought of ownership shouldn't be daunting. This just doesn't have a V12-like appetite for your wallet, nor does it have high AMG-like running costs. This is, dare I say it, the sensible SL. And that is a dream combination really, isn't it? In the UK, you can pick these up for about £5,000, but I wouldn't do personally. I'd try and spend somewhere between 8 and 12 and get yourself a nice low mileage example. Service history really is everything, so make sure you check it out thoroughly. Make sure you do your due diligence. I just know that if you buy a decent one of these now, in 10 years' time, you will be thanking me. I guarantee you'll have an SL worth 25 grand plus sitting in your garage, and you'll have enjoyed it every single summer. It's a win-win, isn't it? It's very rare, really, to find a car that gives you so much enjoyment and one that appreciates in value. I love the SL, as you've probably worked out by now. I've had loads of these over the years. My own 230 SL350 I've had for 5 or 6 years now. I've got an R129 320 that I adore. They're just iconic. That's all there is to it, really. So where does this leave us? Well, it's simple, really. Right now it is that moment in time. Cars like this go through 3 phases. Firstly, it's too new and too expensive to be interesting. Then 15 or 20 years later, they're very cheap because everyone's forgotten about them. Then all of a sudden, the third step is people start to look at them and think, that's lovely, and they're cheap. I'm going to buy one of those. It's just what happens. Then, of course, they go up in value. And where we are right now is towards the end of phase 2. So I think you do need to act quick. I just think the recipe is perfect. You've got Sacco era looks, proper Mercedes engineering, a folding hardtop, a dependable V6, and the end of an over-engineered golden era. 10 years from now, these will be recognised properly, just like the R129 is today. So there you have it then, the SL350, the true thinking man's SL, and a definite future classic. Let me know what you think of this suggestion in the comments. Would you own one of these, or would you opt for something else? I think for this kind of money, you can't beat it. I mean, this particular one is a very low mileage example. This one's only done about 40,000 miles or 73,000 kilometres, and it's been lent to me by Schultz Prestige Cars in Gold Coast. They specialise in stuff like this, so check out their website and check them out on Instagram. If you're into cars, they've always got loads of stuff to whet your appetite. So thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. I'll leave the links below. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Cheers, guys.